Hockey town, going down to hockey town, whoa, whoa. Hockey town, take me down to hockey town, yeah, yeah.
Hello, hockey fans. The Minnesota Hockey Connection is on the air. We're on the air for the next half hour. I'm Kenny Gallagher, along with Jerry Burrow, and we're going to talk hockey about from the pros and the amateurs and high school and everything in between. And Jerry, let's start out on a kind of a somber note. We lost a true hockey legend in the state of Minnesota. Glenn Sonmore died at the age of 86. We learned Monday. Lou Nanny revealed the sad information. And you knew Glenn Sonmore? I knew Glenn Sonmore.
Very good.
Head coach for the Gophers, the North Stars, a scout, a player back in the day. And
did the color for radio for the Gophers for many years with Doug Woog and then Wally Shaver. I mean, he was a great man.
Well, I got to tell you, two of my greatest Glenn Sonmore moments was one where I was a fan in the stands at Met Center, a playoff game, May 1981, and the North Stars were playing Calgary, and the Star Tribune had a picture of Glenn Sonmore with his foot up on the top of the boards, pointing at the scoreboard. I was at the game. I actually had a movie camera, and I have footage of that same incident where Glenn, what had happened was the North Stars I think they won the game 7-4. And they really were handing it to Calgary. Well, Calgary had Willie Plett.
Right.
And, it was just an era of hockey where fighting was a big part of the game. And there were a lot of fights. And Glenn Sonmore took exception to some of the things that took place. So he got up on the edge of the boards and was pointing at the scoreboard, we're kicking your new you-know-what, and letting them have it. And I actually have footage of that moment. And then again, I was in a media hockey game here back in 2000 and got to sit down with Glenn afterwards. We had a party at Blackwoods, and a bunch of us got together and had a great conversation. But you certainly had an opportunity to talk to him many times.
Right, because I went to a lot of Gopher games out of town, in town, and we go out with Doug Woog and him after games. And I'll tell you what, the best part I liked about him, he loved the Gophers. He loved those Minnesota Gophers where, they can be behind 4-1 on the radio, and you wouldn't know it that they were behind.
Yeah.
They scored a goal, and they thought, holy cow, we won this game,
Yeah.
He was just great for the Gophers,
and he was a Canadian. He was born in Moose Jaw.
Yeah.
And sadly, we lost Glenn Sonmore, but my goodness, 86 years old, he gave us a lot.
Right. Plus, he was a scout for the Wild at the end of his life and that there. And another thing is, I always used to see him at high school games in the last 5 years. The last 2 years he was up in Canada in the nursing home. But you'd see him at hockey games, and he'd be watching these kids still, in his 80s. And he loved hockey. He liked to be at the rink.
Yeah. Again, we lost Glenn Sonmore. Glenn died of old age. When you're 86 years old and you pass away, you've died of old age.
Right.
And Glenn lived a long, good hockey life. And we'll have fond memories of him that will last certainly our lifetimes.
Well, him and Herbie are doing all the talking up there.
Yeah, there you go. Herbie and Glenn.
Yeah.
And Glenn goes back to the days of the Minnesota Fighting Saints, of course, the Gophers and the North Stars. So his hockey legacy in Minnesota is very strong and rich.
Right. Well, our thoughts and prayers go to the family. And Glenn, we'll see you soon.
Yeah, we'll see you soon on that hockey rink. Over the weekend, the UMD Bulldogs, boy, I'll tell you, I don't know if they're devastating losses, but they're heartbreaking losses to North Dakota at the deck, back-to-back 3-0 losses. And it certainly wasn't because of lack of effort. The Bulldogs outshot North Dakota both nights, but just couldn't get the deal done.
Yeah, a lot of I thought they really outplayed them, but that first line for North Dakota might be the best first line in college hockey right now. They call it the CBS line, and it's Caglia and Schmaltz and Besser for North Dakota. Man, they're way up there in scoring. They're all they're in the top 12 and scoring all three of them forwards. And I tell you what, that line's fun to watch. But there we go. Every time they play a good team, UMD, they outshoot these teams big time. But I'll tell you what, over half the shots, they must bruise that goalie's belly. Because they go right in that belly.
You know, Jer, I observed that as well. Were they quality shots? I don't know. What's a quality shot? A shot on goal is a shot on goal. But I think you're right that they weren't
going for the corners.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Friday night was the exception. But my goodness, to come out of that with no points, let alone no goals.
Right.
Just a heartbreaking weekend for the Bulldogs. And let's face it, North Dakota is a great team. They're fifth in pairwise, second in the coaches poll, if you count that. And they're top the NCHC, 2 losses on the season?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I don't know how they play so good. They get a new coach. Nothing changes. They're just a solid team.
And they are, and they've been that way now for a long, long time, several years. They rebound, and it seems like they have a specific type of player that plays on that team. They're highly skilled, they're fast, they're quick, they're goal scorers, and it's consistent with that team.
One thing I noticed a little different is that they're picking up a lot of Minnesota kids. And they never picked up this many Minnesota kids. I'd say, let's see, they got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Minnesota kids.
Who's this Cam Johnson, their goaltender? Where's he from?
Michigan.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
He played at Waterloo in USHL. So, there's other news in college hockey. Avery Peterson, Mr. Hockey. Let's see, how many years ago would that be?
Grand Rapids.
Yeah, Grand Rapids kid. He's playing out of Nebraska, Omaha. He left school. So he's done
he left Nebraska?
Yes. Just
what's
this week.
going on?
I don't know. He was on the fourth line, but some people say he has a brother that has a disease that's not good.
Oh, okay.
And so I don't know if that's part of it.
He's coming home, or
I don't know for sure, but he wants to be close. They say he wants to be closer to home and that, but it has to be something with that, or maybe playing on the fourth line, no special teams and that. That might have something to do with it.
You know,
putting it all together. You know.
Yeah, you got to wonder too. These kids and just people in general. I mean, they're human, and do they sometimes just get to the point where I don't want to do this no more? I don't want to be a hockey player.
I don't know if it's that.
I don't want to put up with the grind.
I think they want to play. If you're a wild draft pick, you think you'd be playing on the first 2 lines.
Well, true.
And if you're not playing the first 2 lines, you get a little frustrated.
Well, how does that affect now his position with the Wild?
Well, I don't know. They have to be talking.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on. We'll see. I think we'll see in the next couple of weeks because he wants to get back into hockey. So I think he has to stay out a year now.
Well, what if
he goes transfer someplace else
to another school?
Yeah, it might be if he wants to be close to home.
Well, what about a junior
UMD
team?
Yeah, he can go there and play for the year.
USHL, NAHL. That's
he might want to just go to a college right now, and then like Bemidji State or UMD or whatever, and then just go on the practice squad. Practice with the team, and then stay out a year. So who knows? We'll find out more, but whatever. We wish him best of luck.
Boy, that's amazing, being that he was chosen Mr. Hockey.
Right, and plus, hey, Nebraska Omaha, they're what are they? They're third on pairwise and 6th on the USCHO polls.
Coaches poll.
Yeah. So.
Well, to me, this is the only poll that counts. Is that pairwise?
Top 16 have a chance to get to the Frozen Four.
Yeah. Who votes on that coaches poll?
I think all the main...
Does Scott Sandlin vote on that coaches poll?
I have no idea.
And if he does, what does Scott Sandlin know about Yale? That he can give a subjective or objective vote?
Well, that's a good point.
I'm curious.
It's a good point. You know your own league, but how much do you know outside of your league, So, I don't know. So, like you say, the bottom line is at the end of the year, it doesn't matter what the coaches think. It's what the pairwise says.
Well, we've got a big high school hockey game Wednesday at Amsoil Arena, and Duluth East, Duluth Marshall, and it's going to be a good crowd. There's going to be at least 2,000 people there, you got to imagine.
Yeah, maybe 3,000. We'll see. That's the only game in the state in high school hockey, Wednesday.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. Wednesday's not a hockey day for high school.
True.
So Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays are the big days, and then
So this is by design.
I think so.
You know, this is going to draw some folks from outside of Duluth, obviously.
I remember Duluth East played Maple Grove about 4 years ago, and down in Maple Grove, and it was on a Monday where there's no games going on the whole state, and there was every who's who in hockey was at that game. You couldn't stand up in that rink. If you didn't get there an hour and a half early, you just couldn't get in.
Yeah.
It was so crowded. Every scout, every recruiter, everyone was there. And these are the two of the top teams in the state at the time. That's when Jake Randolph, Toninato, Trevor Olson, that just played here. He played pretty good for North Dakota. And
well, we've been anticipating this for a long time now, since Duluth Marshall stepped up to AA. Duluth East, Duluth Marshall, Wednesday, December 16th, Amsoil Arena. What's the drop of the puck?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, it says in the program and all that.
So if you're watching this show Wednesday at 7 o'clock, you got to get going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But plus this week is some big high school games because of Edina Classic. It's they have Eden Prairie, Grand Rapids, Elk River, and Edina. And 3 of those teams are in the top 10. And what happens is they play each other over 3 days. So every team plays each other. So you're going to know these teams where they're at right after this Edina Classic.
And that's at what rink?
At Braemar.
Okay.
And that's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So the first game every night is 5 o'clock, and Edina plays the second game, whoever they're playing, at 7:30.
Well,
after.
Who do you like in the mix?
I like Eden Prairie, but we'll see.
What about Edina?
Edina is a good team, but their best they have one good senior forward, and then they got about 4 very good sophomores. So
so the future's bright.
Yeah, by the end of the year, I think Edina will be right there. Mm-hmm. You know, ready to go.
But Eden Prairie's stacked.
Right. Well, they just lost to Benil, their first loss. But it was a great game. Everyone said full house over in Benil.
Was that an overtime game?
Yes.
Yeah.
6-5.
Yeah.
So it was an entertaining game with a lot of scoring, but just 2 good teams. And Benil's playing real good hockey, and I have them. I might as well go with the rankings right now. Benil, because of that win over Eden Prairie, is number 1. Eden Prairie dropped from 1 to 2. Then we got Blaine, who's undefeated. So there's only 4 undefeated teams in Class AA right now. And we're only 3 weeks into the season.
Wow.
But and then Benil and Blaine play this week. So you got some good games.
Yeah.
And then number 4, Bemidji. We got a northern team. They're playing very good hockey. Lakeville North. Was that a number 6?
No, Lakeville North was involved in a game just recently.
They beat Rapids in overtime.
Yeah.
6 is Wayzata. 7, another undefeated team, Stillwater. The only team they beat Lakeville North in the beginning of the year, but they're scheduling.
Who beat them at the beginning of the year?
Stillwater beat Lakeville North.
Oh, they did?
And they're undefeated right now, but their schedule, their conference is down, and they don't really play a top 10 team the rest of the year unless like Holy Family Catholic moves up. They're right on the border to get into the top 10. So their scheduling might hurt them in the long run because they're in the same section as Hill Murray. And you know Hill Murray, 9 out of 10 times, they're in state.
You bet.
They know how to get there.
Yeah, yes they do.
And, okay, number 8, Hill Murray. Number 9, Grand Rapids. And like I say, big week for Grand Rapids because they got Edina, and then they got Eden Prairie, and they got Elk River, which is a big section game for seeding. So all these games mean a lot because Duluth East has to play Eden Prairie and Elk River later on in the season.
Yeah.
So that's how they go on. This seeding stuff is going to be close this year. And then number 10 is Edina, and I see that team moving up, Edina. like I say, because they got young kids and they'll get better and better as the season goes on. And teams to watch: Bloomington, Jefferson, Centennial, which Duluth East plays tonight at the Heritage. Well, this show will be on.
It's a Tuesday night. Yeah.
But Duluth East, they lost a couple games this last week. Cloquet and they lost to St. Michael. But don't worry, this team, Coach Randolph will have that team ready when it comes to sections.
Are they healthy? Do they have a full staff on hand?
I guess they do now.
All right.
So things, I think they'll start turning it around and things will start happening. They got a tough schedule though.
Yeah.
Okay, then Elk River, Farmington, Holy Family Catholic's playing real good. Minnetonka, Prior Lake, that's another team that's playing real good, trying to get in the top 10. St. Thomas Academy, they're a little down than normal last few years.
Of these teams to watch, who do you think? Are there one or two schools here that you think
I got 3 teams that I think that can, besides East, that can get back in the top 10. Prior Lake, Holy Family Catholic, and Elk River.
And then of these top 10, who do you think drops out eventually?
Who can drop out? I say Hill Murray can drop out. Lakeville North can drop out.
Really?
Rosetta can drop out. Really, there's 3 teams that are playing really good hockey in AA. Benale, Eden Prairie, and Blaine.
Yeah.
Now the rest, you don't know who's showing up each night. So.
All right.
So
you think last year's Class AA champs, Lakeville North, could possibly fall out of the top 10?
Oh, yes, they could.
Interesting. Now, we'll cover Class A, but before we do, real quick, I think this Hibbing team's for real. They're 5-0.
Right.
They just beat last year's last year's champ,
Right.
East Grand Forks.
Correct.
But is East Grand Forks on a level that they were last year?
Well, they had a bad week. The Saturday before last Saturday, they lost to Breck 9-1.
Breck's a good team.
Yeah, but they're number 2. Hermantown and Breck are the 2 top teams, I think, by far. And who knows? I don't know if they had any injuries or anything's going on there.
But it's impressive when you can beat the defending champions and do it with a 5-0 record.
And going out there and doing it in their home rink.
So the top Class A teams?
Hermantown.
Number 1.
Yes, by far. Breck, number 2. Those 2 teams.
Whoa. Hermantown number 1 by far.
I think by far right now. They're deeper. Breck is playing real good hockey. I wouldn't want to play them now. So number 2, Breck. Montemina, they play Hill Murray this week, so we'll find out if they're as good as you think they are. St. Cloud, Apollo, number 4. They just had the St. Cloud matchup with the Cathedral, and they beat them the other night, Saturday night. So St. Cloud, Apollo, number 4. Delano, number 5. They'll be in the Hilltopper tournament. Hibbing, number 6. So, I guess they're playing real good hockey. I mean, so we have to keep watching them. I mean, they can game. They play in the let's say the section finals at the Amsoil there. They could be playing Hermantown for all the marbles to go to state, and that. Get the goalie hot, one game, that can happen. So.
And, of course, we have UMD recruit on that Hibbing team.
Yep, Scott Perinovich. Okay, number 7, we got St. Paul Academy. Number 8, St. Cloud Cathedral. Number 9, East Grand Forks. Number 10, Princeton. And then teams to watch, Detroit Lakes, Greenway, Laverne, Mankato West, New Ulm, Orono, Sartell, St. Paul Johnson. Oh, I forgot Laverne, didn't I? Did I say Laverne?
I don't think you did.
Laverne and Thief River Falls.
I don't hear Duluth Denfeld in there.
They got to play one more week of good hockey.
All right. Okay.
And then they got their Christmas tournament. So next week we'll put out the big Christmas tournaments, holiday tournaments.
Yeah.
There's the Hilltopper, the Heritage in Duluth. There's the Schwann down in the cities, and the Sports Authority are the biggest tournaments.
Listen, folks, Jerry Burrow sees more high school hockey games in the state of Minnesota than anybody. All right? And when he puts together this list, he has a pretty good knowledge, pretty good idea of what's going on here. And you can check on those lists on the website, minnesotahockeyconnection.com. And then they get posted, Sunday nights on our Facebook page?
Usually by noon Sundays, most of the time.
Yeah.
So then just go on to Facebook or go on, Minnesota Hockey Connection site.
And again, the UMD Bulldogs, heartbreaking losses to North Dakota this past weekend. The Bulldogs now will have some time off, and they'll resume play January 2nd against USA under 18. Is it under 18 team? Or the 18 and
the
under.
U18 team.
Yeah. The USA team will travel to Amsoil Arena January 2nd, 7 o'clock, drop of the puck. And then they'll resume play at Miami, Ohio, January 8th and 9th. The Bulldogs will be back at Amsoil Arena January 15th and 16th to take on St. Cloud State. And that's not going to be an easy match either.
No.
St. Cloud State maybe even a little better than North Dakota.
All right. Hey, they've been playing good hockey, St. Cloud State.
They sure have.
I mean, they beat the Gophers. Who did they have down? Omaha. They split with Omaha.
Did they sweep North Dakota?
No. That was earlier.
They split with them.
I think, yeah.
Okay.
But they went out to Denver and beat Denver out there this last weekend, both games. So they're playing great hockey.
That'll be an opportunity when St. Cloud comes to town, January 15th, 16th. The return of Judd Peterson, a former Denfeld standout.
Right. He got injured in St. Cloud.
Or did he go up to Marshall?
Nebraska. He went from Denfeld to Marshall.
He did, didn't he?
Yeah. His sophomore year, he went up to Marshall.
All right. The Minnesota Wild, this past week, were at Colorado where they lost a close game. They went to Arizona Friday and lost a close game. But that game in San Jose, Saturday the 12th, a huge win, a 2-0 win at San Jose, and that's a building they've had a hard time winning in, so it was nice to get 2 points there. And they'll resume play, we're taping this Tuesday the 15th, they'll play Vancouver, and then they'll play the New York Rangers at home Thursday the 17th, and then they'll travel to Nashville Saturday the 19th. And no games Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, and then they'll resume play. Well, they've got games at Dallas and Montreal on the 21st, 22nd. And then Pittsburgh comes to XL the day after Christmas, 7 o'clock drop a puck there. Wild are, I don't know, they're kind of holding their own.
Right.
Darcy Kemper seems to be getting into a groove.
Right.
He's had to because Devin Dubnyk strained his groin. His child was born, so he's been out the past 2 games.
I think he'll be back. He's ready to come back. So whenever the coaches say, hey, you're in, he'll be back in the nets. But tell you one thing, they should not go to overtime.
This team struggles with overtime, don't they?
That 3-on-3, I think they won 1 overtime. How many games? About 7?
Yeah, there's been a handful for sure.
Yeah. I mean, they just can't win those games.
No, they can't.
And this last one was really, they gave Parisi a penalty down there in Arizona. And the player fell to the ice, and come on, he's just going for the puck, and that should never been a penalty. I mean, I'm a Glenn Sommer.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I'm a homer.
Well, I've got my thoughts on penalties in overtime, and it's got to be a pretty blatant call,
Right.
I think.
The guy fell to the ground, and because his stick is, Parisi's always going for the puck and that, and scratched the guy's face and that, and no.
Yeah, he should have kept his skates sharp. He wouldn't have fallen.
There you go.
So I do have issues with that as well. I think it's a little outrageous. You've got to really hold your whistle in overtime. Especially now that it's 3-on-3. And what happens is then they just add an additional player, so it becomes 4-on-3.
Right.
And I think yeah.
Well, St. Alaska split this weekend.
They did. They lost Saturday night quite handedly. I think
St. John's.
Yeah.
But Friday night they beat Gustavus Adolphus.
Yeah.
4-1. So
Saints are holding their own.
yeah, they're holding their own. UWS is having some problems.
Well, UWS played that Milwaukee School of Engineering,
Right.
and I believe it was the Saturday night game. They were up 2-1, And late in the third period, Milwaukee scores 2 goals and ends up beating UWS 3-2 Saturday.
Yeah, and then 4-2 the next night.
Yeah. How about the Spartans? How are they doing high school hockey-wise?
They're so-so.
Yeah.
I mean, they're nothing great. But this year, I mean, they can get the state again, you know.
Defending state champions.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Last year when we had Hermantown in the championship game, Superior in the championship game, and Duluth
East.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the championship game. So we had all northern schools in the
Well,
championship games.
it's
Superior's the only one that came out was a champion, but
True. But, boy, is this the year for Hermantown?
well, it better be. If they don't,
Yeah.
I mean, I get a lot of people still talk about why don't they go to AA, and then Bruce Plan will say, hey, our school is only 600 students in that, and we deserve that. My point is that they can move up to AA. If they have a problem with not having enough players and that, they can always drop down back to A. So they're not really taking a big risk. I think what they won a trophy in that, and nothing wrong with that, I guess. So let it be.
Yeah. And you can't criticize Bruce Plant.
Right.
What he's done up there has been
Remarkable.
Yeah. It really is. It's
He's done a
pretty
great job.
incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. So give him credit there, man, for a lot of great hockey players have come out of Hermantown because of Bruce Plant.
His son Derek Plant, a former Bulldog, former NHL player, left the Bulldog program and as an assistant coach. Any word on what Derek's doing?
He's doing a little bit with Chicago Blackhawks in development, and then
Is he?
I think one of these USA teams he's going to help coach. I heard, and I think he's just likes watching his kid now.
Yeah,
Kids.
yeah.
He never had a chance. He says, "I see these recruits more than I see my own kids."
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So, yeah, someday you gotta make your mind up. Your kids grow up so fast, you know. And, hey, nothing wrong with what he's doing.
How about the Wilderness? The Wilderness started out slow, but they picked things up, and they're seem to be on pace to hopefully repeat as champions.
Yeah, they're playing real good hockey and solid hockey, and they're real close to Fairbanks in their division right now. And I tell you what, they're one of the top 5 teams. Oh, and plus, talking about the Wilderness, one of their players went down to the USHL team, the Madison Capitals, where Ryan Suter is big majority owner.
Yeah.
That he went down there, his first shift, scores a goal.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I think he'll be back at the Wilderness. I don't think they're keeping, but we'll see. But I think they just needed a player for the weekend.
Really?
Yeah, so they call up these North American Hockey League, can we borrow this player?
So
or
it's
something
not
like that.
too uncommon then.
Right, it's happened. You don't see it too much in the middle of the season like this.
Yeah.
You see it more in the beginning. Then at the end of the season where high school's over, then they pick up kids from high school, you know, because they got the rights to these kids, so they want to start playing them. But, hey, good for him.
Well, the Minnesota Hockey Connection, you can find us online, minnesotahockeyconnection.com, and then go to our Facebook page, Minnesota Hockey Connection, and like us there. The program is produced at the studios at Pact-TV in City Hall in downtown Duluth, and we certainly want to thank the staff at Pact-TV for that. And Jerry, with that, final thought?
Well, get out to the Duluth Marshall Duluth East game at Amsoil. First time in 16 years that they're playing, and it's big for the seedings too for this game. You know, so these 2 competitive coaches, they both want to win so bad. So
You bet.
I think it's going to be a great game.
Wednesday, 7 o'clock, Amsoil Arena, and with that, we'll be back here next week to drop the puck, and we'll see you then.